I can't really get everything I want to say into 3 minutes anymore. It's become a challenge. So I might take like 5 minutes. I don't know. But I needed to respond to the latest post from our political leader here in Canada, one of the greatest places on earth. I know it's amazing here. Um, I love him. I love all political leaders. I love the whole world. I love everyone. I respect all authority because the universe is the ultimate, like over everything has authority, I believe, over everything. I mean, you need to have like some sort of authority in the world or else things are just going to be like, wow. So this universe, I feel, was being managed very well by itself. And somehow there's all these people that are like in power, and so like respect, like it's just how I am. It's like if somebody was going to come here and babysit in my house, I would want them to be respectable and I'd want them to be respected. And so, like, that's kind of how I see it as. But everything was going along swimmingly here in Canada. I feel like, everything was still intact and, like, people are still coming here. That's really nice to see. Like, a lot of my friends and connections are people from places from far away. And it's a lot to try and come here. And, the people that I'm close to, they are doing their best to integrate. And, like, luckily, I have Tessel, so I'm helping them, and I usually do. It's just kind of like one of those things. I don't know. I'm not social. I wouldn't say like I'm a social butterfly, but I'm very warm and friendly. Typical Canadian, you know, I don't know, like most, I feel like we're a friendly country. But, anyways, Mark Carney has all my respect. It's just, it's getting very businessy and like, I like business and Canada's all about that kind of stuff, right? But his statement, we are building this country together, and clearly that's like a very important message from him. It's just not really sitting that well with me. I really don't feel like we are. Like I feel like Canada's kind of building a country with some other people that don't really need, you know, to be like to have the Canadian dollar that we have and live in Canada, like it's a privilege. And I feel like it should be a privilege for people that are actually like needing to live in a place like Canada. There are like lots of other places to live if you have like a ton and like I mean a lot of money. Like and I don't know if I really feel like the money that people are bringing here is actually going and filtering down into Canadian roots. And the reason I say that is because I am Canadian. I was born here. I've lived in the same area of Canada for 45 years. And it's a struggle. Like, I mean, I guess we pay for, here in our province, we pay for highways. We need highway buildings, materials all the time because we're on the West Coast. So, like, there's a lot of degradation, whatever you want to call it. And I've seen it firsthand. Like, I've been stuck places because of, like, highways needing work. And we do it quickly, we do it fast, it's expensive. I personally travel in 9 different neighborhoods some weeks to work, and I didn't use the education system to get where I am. I did try to use the education system, but like it is a fast paced government here federally. And I just wanted to respond by saying when I'm inspired to respond to a post that I see on social media with social media, it's not out of like political motives. Like I don't actually feel like I need to be like that's wrong or this is my opinion or like thousands of Canadians believe this. We only have 40 million people here and like half of us, I'm one of them, are struggling. I'm not going to lie, and that's just like facts and figures that are brought to the attention of like Facebook. Like that's not even a reliable source of information, but all in all, I feel like I'm building my own little country with my girls. And I don't feel that it's necessary anymore for people to feel that they owe their country anything. We already pay taxes, we already pay a lot. And I don't feel that I have to be a part of anything like that anymore. Just like I don't feel like I have to be a part of a girls group or like a women's group or like, you know, a statistic. Like I never felt like I had to be a part of statistics. And I think it's important for us to form our own opinions, right? And, I am not ungrateful. I'm like so grateful for all the benefits that we have in our part of the world. Like, seriously, other than like emergency rooms, I think we're doing really great. You know, we have like online doctors and whatnot. And it took me a while to figure that out. I was chasing down this clinic for quite a long time to get my monthly meds. And I don't even take that much. I take one pill. It's like the lowest dose you could possibly get for ADHD. And I should have been taking that 40 years ago, but I was very resistant to help because of the way that it's presented in this country. There's a lot of like, you know, doubt, and just it plants seeds in your head, right? And so navigating around all of those politics is really hard. But I figured it out, and like finally I understand, you know, if you take care of yourself and if you stop putting everybody else first, and even your own country and even like, you know, everybody around you, and you just put yourself first and put your own oxygen mask on, like you won't need to use the emergency room as much as unfortunately some people do. But even those people are contributing, you know. I feel like even those, like, it's not that I'm never going to see one, right? Like I've been there, I've been in the hospital a few times, but we don't have certain parts of our system functioning. And I'm sure it's like there's countries that do, like, you know, apparently the UK is even ahead of us when it comes to like medical emergencies and stuff like General Hospital on TV is ahead of us. Like, I mean, today I stood there in front of somebody that was processing like this silly exchange for $3.25 with tax. And she was like embarrassed because she couldn't just do it. Like, she had to print out receipts because it was a construction company. So it was like, it was one part that was wrong, and so she had to like print out two pieces of paper. Like, it was this whole thing, and people were waiting behind me, and I was like, why did I even do this? Like, why didn't I just come in here and just buy the other thing and donate this piece? But because $3 is like a lot to me, you know. And she said, I'm sorry, our system is down, and like we're getting a new system in June. I'm like, you don't have to apologize. I'm like, my brain isn't working, and like, you know, the people's brains that are working don't really understand that this could just be fixed with like intelligence. You know, we don't even need computers. Anyways, that's off topic. But the point is that I'm building a little world here. Like, I don't know if I want to be included in this we, you know, like we meaning who. I don't know if I want to be included in building something that's just so big right now. Like, I just want to focus on me and my kids. So that's my response. I've had to like completely opt out of following politics and stuff like that anymore, even though like I love advocacy, I love helping people, I love like teaching people English, I love helping people with school stuff when they're struggling, I love helping kids learn how to sing and express themselves. But like, you can't do that and, you know, fully contribute to like a country that's being run by adults that aren't really like even like, I'm not going to say being adults, but like it doesn't really feel like every adult is getting these things that our you know leaders are saying that we're getting, like, if that makes any sense. So it's nice to see that there's like elegance, you know, that's lovely, and like grace, and you know, lots of really amazing stuff is coming into our country here. But you know, when you have skyrocketing grocery prices and gas prices are going up and down, like, you know, it's unsettling for the heart, and it's not feasible. It's just like, it's like, you know, do you want to come and hang out and do like these 10 things like while you have a broken ankle? Like, no, I don't think I can even drive, so I'm just going to stay home, you know. And that's kind of where I feel like my family is at right now, because COVID was just sort of like this unexpected massive nap, and then you wake up and it's just like, wow, I didn't, you know, my youngest started her life out going like, what is going on, you know, at like, I guess COVID ended when she was like 3. If it even did end, I don't know. I just kind of forgot about what was going on in that section of the world. But you know, she started her life out in almost silence. So it's just been very odd, and there's still some things that I feel like a lot of moms like me and a lot of parents are filtering through. And you know, now we have this new big thing going on with people who come here have to integrate and they don't have a choice, and like it's, there's all these protests and whatever. I mean, it's just how can anybody keep up, right? Like, I don't think, that's it's fair to just all of a sudden change the rules. We had this open door and everybody was coming here, and now like you can't come here unless you're the certain kind of person. I feel like you can't even live here unless you're a certain kind of person, right? So I'm just building my own little world, and I don't know, if this will be my home in 4 months from now. I don't know if I'll have my car. I don't know. We don't have that kind of security here, for everyone. And if not, like, my body is my home. I'm building my body, right? And I'm teaching my kids to build their bodies too. And we have a free food program at our school where my kids get food that they won't eat because they're very creative and they've seen me make like gourmet meals before. And so they won't eat like any of that food, but I'm eating it because it's cost saving, and there's like a whole entire cupboard of it in my kitchen. And somebody put together those food bags, and then somebody put together those packages of food, and they last quite a long time, and they don't have perishables in them. And like, I don't think I am a cat, but like I feel like sometimes my personality is just really chill. Like I'm a food driven cat sometimes. Like, personality wise, I'll eat what's on the plate and I'm happy like I got food, and I won't need to go find food out there, because if I did, I'd be like super grumpy mommy. So yeah, that's where I feel, from my perspective, in one of the most beautiful countries in the world apparently, that our country stands. I don't really feel like we are being represented completely 100% transparently. I think that there's still a lot of like doors that have closed on people that could be doing so much, and I don't feel like I'm one of them. I'm not saying that I'm not happy as a Canadian, but I do. I sometimes drive 4 hours total a day to work. 4 hours, which is just like, does anybody realize that? Like some of the entrepreneurs in this city, in this province, in this country who are shifting into entrepreneurialism in life. And like, I grew up on it. So like, it was something that I had to think about for a long time because I've seen the woes that come with it. But it's just gotten more and more challenging. And that's what's frustrating, is like, you can't keep up because the funding is never just something that you just click enter, like it's not like voting. It doesn't just like, wow, here you go. It's a long process with a lot of like delays, and it's a lot like immigrating. It's a lot like integration, right? Just it's a headache sometimes, especially if you have kids and you've got to make deadlines, and like, I've had to organize my entire summer around these changes. And I'm really good with numbers. I did go to school, so like, I'm keeping track. It's just, I think the voice of our country is heavily in people who are very busy and aren't really actually asking very many questions, if that makes any sense. So if you're living in a country like Canada, then you might have similar experiences in your country. I know Canada's like up there in some ways with like Denmark and a couple of other places that I've been. But I think it's also really lacking in, if it was a relationship and the question was, is there like, consideration, honesty, like for real? Like, I think that there's a little bit lacking there. So that's just my opinion as a mom. And, sometimes seeing those posts, like, there's a lot of negativity with people just laughing, like, I don't think I've ever seen a post on Facebook where there's a picture of our prime minister and like there isn't a reaction of somebody laugh. Like, somebody is always laughing, and I don't think it's funny. Like, I think it's actually, it's not supposed to be like that. I feel like politics are supposed to open doors and open up minds and open up like conversation and communication. But I think that like there's a lot of negativity, and at first, I felt defensive and like, what's going on? Like, I'm like 45 and like I feel like I'm 20, like, if like, but I'm not. I've been working really hard all my life, and it's just, we can't keep up. But we don't need to be like so negative that you can't even go on social media. You know, I feel like it's important to recognize the good that's coming out of the situation and just kind of observe, you know, kind of like the Leonardo da Vinci sort of style, like just observe what's going on around us and realize that, you know, there isn't a quick solution, and you can say be the change that you want to see all you want. I can't remember what it was that I said today about um, something, but in any situation, like it's easy to say, you know, that things will get better or this is just how they are for now, you know, like it's easy to say put a quick fix on things, put a band-aid on things and just keep going and things get better. But I think it's also important to recognize that with all of the positive, which we do have here in this country, there is still going to be, you know, huge disappointments for people, like especially medically. My heart goes out to so many people every day that I just catch like stories now. I don't know what it is with my social media, but like I swear 4 months ago it was like mostly stupid stuff that I never wanted to see again on social media, and then it got like it's been very serious lately where it's like right in my own province. Like why? Like why am I seeing all of this real stuff, you know? Like for a long time it was missing kids. Like every single time I went on Facebook it was just missing. Like wow, that many kids are missing. And then I went and looked up on Google like how many kids are missing, and it just didn't seem right, you know? But anyways, we do have some transparency here, and I guess what I'm saying is just I feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong with just going independent, building your own world, your own universe, your own cosmos, being your own, you know, boss. And it seems easier said than done, I know, but you have to in some situations. Like you can't, you know, I couldn't get a car like for years without getting only used cars, and it was like a pain. And then finally one day like I went so into debt that I got a new car, but I'm a cleaner. I cannot keep breaking down on the side of the road. Like eventually I had to have that, right? And you just deal with it, right? And I think that's not supposed to be how it is, right? That's not supposed to be how building a business or building like an entrepreneur life or building like a life as a single person or building like a new life, you know, or starting over in another country. It should never feel like, you know, a lie, right? Like I thought we were doing more for first of all ourselves and then other people. And you know, like I think I said this at the beginning, I have friends from like all over, and you know, I'm not getting that story, right? I'm getting like a lot of I'm frustrated and like what should I do, and like, you know, I'm still learning English, and like I thought it would go better. And my heart goes out to those people too. My heart goes out to like all these people that live here, you know. And like you start with yourself, and then you kind of like look at your neighbors, and you look at like your community, and you look at like your state or province or section of wherever you live, and you spread out into the universe going like, wow, like am I making a difference? Like is my life going to be impacted by like any of this good change that's being talked about by politicians? And I think the truth is that yes, if you just put yourself first, you know, first put yourself first, even if it means like I went through 2 divorces and both times had major breakdowns, and luckily had my mom, and I don't think I'll ever go through that again because my mom is no longer with me. But maybe I will rise into my own, like being my own mother, and you know, try again one day and put my heart out in the world like that again. But I don't think like either of those times are anything to be ashamed about. I think starting over again and, you know, starting with nothing or starting like with, you know, just you and just what you have in that moment, like whether it's you're holding on to like your mental health or whether you have like, you know, whether if money is important to you, even if you just have like $1,000 or you can get approved for like $5,000, you know, just to pay your rent and stay where you are if that's important. Like those little things that are just so, like, they seem so unimportant to the rest of the world because, I mean, they are in a way, but yeah, like it's not impossible. It just seems it is easier said than done, you know, to start with yourself. And I'm very like wrapped. I get very wrapped up in anything that's political. So whenever anything comes up and it's like affecting me, I feel like it's affecting anybody else that I love and that I care about. And that's why I felt like I need to say something about this because we now have a majority government.
We have a surprise for you.
Okay, and there's a surprise waiting for me, so I have a very special meeting to go to that just came up. But anyways, I made it like 10 minutes into this, and I hope one day that if this finds anyone, with any kind of struggle with the way that politics affect them for whatever reason, these are the things right now in a very lucky place in the world that are affecting us, and I know it could be harder, and I haven't experienced it in any other part of the world, but I've taken risks before for things that are important to me and that I love, not just here, but you know in other places, like traveling with my mom and then traveling with my kids, and feeling very privileged and very blessed to be able to do that, and running into issues that today I'd be screwed, but like luckily back then I guess I was putting myself first, and calculated the risks enough to know that that's where I was at. And if I hadn't done those things, then I wouldn't love myself the way I do today. I'm so happy that I did those things. It's just now people can't do anything where I'm coming from. Like, there's 7 million people in our country that, like, there's probably 100 statistics about, like, either their businesses failed or they can't afford their car payments or whatever. They can't, get a doctor. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that, wow, it's like fireworks out there. There's only 40 million of us here, so you'd think that we could just figure it out, right? But I think a lot of this is going to be on our kids, and I want our kids one day to know that I want my kids to know that, like, I ate the free food from their school and that they might have to do that one day. And if they do, maybe I'll put together some recipes for them or something like that. But maybe I'll come over and eat it for them, and give them $20, whatever. But I feel like we could be working together on, like, many, many levels. And again, I think at the end of the day, I think it's on our kids, and it's going to be on our kids how the world is going to be shaped, because it's just, I think all of the children of this world are everybody's, children. I think all of the children of this world are so brilliant and so smart, and the people that I learn from the most are children, and I feel like they have, like, not only built-in intelligence around politics and around, like, survival and around spirituality, but I think that they're also, like, super good at communicating without even using, like, words and social media and phones and stuff like that. Like, I feel that the way they live their lives and the way that they're rising in this world is, like, it's going to be beautiful. So it's not all bad, it's just, I think it was just important for me just to come on here and say, I could have just said this in the beginning, but I like to go on and on sometimes when I can when my kids aren't around, and feel really cool and professional. But putting ourselves first is okay. You don't have to be a part of something if you don't feel like you're meant to be a part of it, whether it's a country, okay, whether it's, do you guys even realize that I'm still on here? Whether it's a family, okay, and oh my god, what? Wow, that's so beautiful.
That's a flower.
Whether it's anything.
That's a cloud. That's a sun, and that's a person.
That's so cool. It's like a rainbow vision. That's me.
A random person.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Does it have a name? Is this like a place?
It's called Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
It's because they made it in pencil.
It's so cute. I love it. Can I go? Can I jump in there and go in there?
It's a pool party. Let's do it.
It's so fun.
It sounds cute.
Oh, it's gone. We need a new Pennsylvania.
I'm gonna make sticks now.
Stitch? Okay, I love Stitch. Disney Stitch? Anyways, now you've had a little dose of my life, and like, I usually don't give this much time to like politics, and I try to like be positive about them, but yeah, the last time we had a war the way that it's going right now was when I was in grade 5, and I was so excited because, not because of the war, but because I was very much like aware of it at my age, and my parents, they didn't watch a lot of the news, but like I asked them questions and was like, why is there a war? You know, and they were like, because, you know, there's like, you know, things in other countries that are worth a lot of money, you know, and it affects us. And basically they were just trying to explain that like we were going to have a really bad time financially in a really kind of like nice way. And I understood that like war affected families, and that was basically what they were saying, right? And I got to school one day and the news was there, and I thought they were going to ask us all what we thought of the war. But no, they actually were asking us about the teachers going on strike in like 4 days, which I had no idea about. So I was like, oh, really? But I was so excited because I thought that, like, you know, we would be included in what was going on. But the whole idea of that is still, you know, it's still not really happening. Like, I think that it's all above our kids' heads, and I don't think that they're really going to like that for very much longer. I think that the fact that they're being taught history while we're making history is not going to work for them, and that it's like never worked, right? It's actually been very frustrating to try and understand everything that happened up until this point for me alone. Like, even though I've been so hyper aware of like what's going on, you know, not just from social media, but like in general. Like, I think, I don't know, maybe it was just because I had like my mom, my dad, my stepdad, and like just all these different parts of my family, and like there was religions, and there was like a lot of like conflicting stuff, and so it was like quite politically and religiously like a swamp. And I was like this princess trying to cross the swamp, and I was like, oh, I understand, so like this is what you guys believe, and this is like what is actually written, and you know, I just kind of put it all together. But you know, Canada is, I don't know, maybe our prime minister is looking through rose-colored glasses, and maybe, you know, he's actually really, you know, a kid at heart. I don't know, maybe like he'll surprise us in the long run, but right now, right now as it stands, it's like I'm literally like eating my kids' free food from school, and that's with like being 100% financially like self-sufficient, and like lucky to have the owner of this house is amazing. I have amazing neighbors. I get like so much stuff given to me. It's crazy. I just wish that I could like carbon copy that and send it to like the other people in this world that don't have that, who are struggling. But I can't, and I don't know when people will be able to do stuff like that, but that was the very last like inkling that was coming through for me when I was like, what do you mean we're building Canada together? Like, was that we are at an era in our existence where we should be able to start using technology like as if we were the ones actually like in dreams. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a dream where like you're using your phone. I have dreams like this all the time with computers and phones and like different things that aren't even like invented, but it's a completely different intelligence. Like, it just makes sense in your dream, right? If you were to try and tell somebody about it and explain it, it would take you like so long. If you were to try to invent it, it would like take you, you know, how I don't know how long. Like, it would just take a long time. I know for me to create the phone I was on last week in my dream, like I'd need billions and trillions of dollars, and then I would be the only one with one because I wouldn't know how, you know, to get it together to produce these things. But I feel like that's what's needed, is for people to be more self-sufficient with their own minds and their own time and their own ideas. And like, I wish we could do that because I know that there are people out there who are brilliant. And I don't know how these people do it, you know, creating like amazing medical stuff. Like I watched this show on my smart TV 2 years ago that I doubt anybody else watched, but it was like included with the smart TV. And it was this program about these people who created a 3D design for a rocket ship, very similar to like Tesla or NASA, but like their own 3D printed. I'm not even kidding, like 3D printed. And these people, like, do you hear my children? That's World War III in there. But they were like 3D printing this thing that costs, I think, like $16 billion. Like, I don't know, even maybe in the trillions. And they had to get their own funding by emailing people because it was like too big for GoFundMe. And they were successful at it. Like, it blew my freaking mind. I was like, I don't know if I could even raise enough money to like pay for a like food train for myself if I had another baby, which I wouldn't. That's like not on the roster at all. But like so much energy was put into this. I don't know, maybe they just didn't have kids or like they went to school and they like, you know, somehow had like rocket science brains or whatever, but like humanly it just blew my mind, you know? And I'm like, if only we could do this with everything. Just everything, you know, like if only we could just 3D print like what we're thinking, right? So yeah, it's having to, I need to just like not be a part of something if I don't want to be a part of it. And right now I don't really feel like I feel like there's two Canadas, you know. I feel like really I do, and I almost feel like there's two moons and like two suns, two planets, you know. It's like the grass is greener on the other side, and it really is. Like, I don't know how they did it. But eventually one day I do think the children, you know, and not just in like a really cheesy like Whitney Houston type way, but definitely partly like I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. I used to sing that at karaoke all the time. But in a really genuine way. My youngest is a COVID child, and I'm still working on like her reactions with her sister. So don't mind the realness of that. It'll go away in 1 second. But these children, you know, and children that are just so like not like chosen or like some kind of special tribe and different and separate from like the rest of the world, but like I think just like naturally it's not just like one generation after another, and every generation that is born or comes into this world changes what was like left behind, but I think that they're here to like actually end that. And I don't want to leave until I read some of these comments because I like never do. And then when I post these, I try to go back and they're all gone, which I feel like such a ripoff, you know? But yeah, like these are things that I think came up for me like very seldomly in like tasseography. I had a tea leaf reading like with my mom. I even have these tea leaf readings on my door now. I found them. I've lost them for a long time, but for me it was never about like making a whole bunch of money. Like wealth to me, I always felt was already there. Like if that makes sense. Like I already knew so much about my life coming into this world just because of my ability to dream. So like I didn't feel it was necessary for me to like manifest or whatever you want to call it a bunch of money. Like I think six figures, you know, is to me that just seems like ones and zeros, right? Like this was another meditative thought that I had last week when I had a moment to myself. I was like, what's with the ones and zero? Like, why are we living our lives literally like day to day, limited by ones and zeros? Like, I'm working on like right now. I'm working on like limiting beliefs again. Like I've been working on like inner child healing, and like this last week has been inner adolescent healing, which is why I think this came up because the teenager in me was like, this is not fair. Like I just when I was a teenager, I thought I was going to be like a politician or like a lawyer, and I thought that I'd be like up there on some podium, you know, and I'd be like, the world today is not like, it never happened because I just don't have that kind of personality. I'm more of like a, let's make daisy chains and like, you know, build a yurt and do yoga. but I tried, just because of the compassion, right? But these ones and zero things, like our whole world is so focused now on technology, and it's like this massive like thing to live according to ones and zeros, but like if you just got rid of that, because we never really needed that in the first place. Like, I remember when my mom first got her first bank card, and she thought it was so cool, and she was like, can you go to the bank machine and like pull out, 20, like $5? And I was like, why do we have these? Like, this is not doing anything extra. Like, I don't feel special. Why do you feel special with this bank card? Like, they're just, you're falling into a trap thinking that you're special, but you're going to be paying for this in like 10 years. It's going to come out of like our future. You know what I mean? I know that sounds really negative, but like that wasn't the point. The point wasn't that my mom was like buying into it. My mom was a corporate queen. She could get any job and she worked for every bank in Canada. But she had no money when she like left us because she just wanted to have fun with us and be like happy, And if she hadn't had to constantly like think about numbers and think about banking and think about like ones and zeros and technology and like resumes and all these things that she ended up thinking about all the time. Why are you stalking me? Oh, that's so cool. Is it a magic wand?
Yeah.
It's so big. I don't think that she would have. Can I take it into my room for a moment as a talking stick? Okay, I'll come right back out with it. God, it would take to like get my children to give me 900 minutes of my life, like in total. I need like a timeshare for myself so I can like have time to myself. But I do love my kids. I know they're just gonna fight as soon as I get out there. They're gonna fight over me in every single way possible. Vultures. But yeah, the ones and zeros thing, if we just got rid of it and we just had like everybody just keeps getting more, it would work, right? But that doesn't seem like a very understandable equation. Somebody always has to be at the bottom and somebody always has to have some sort of like massive debt or loss, and with my mom, like eventually she ended up like going so much into debt, and not for money, but like for love. Sadly, she was with somebody who was like really manipulative and like wanted her to invest in like options and all these stupid things. He had this massive thick book on the coffee table, and I was in my 20s and I was like, Mom, like, you're not going to Abu Dhabi with this person. Like, what is going on? And he still tries to message me and like my photos, and it creeps me out. Like, what is going on with people? Like, why is it so important to continue making all of this work? That's what I want to know. That's why I don't want to be a part of it, because I really feel like, the yurt is the dream. And I feel like one day it's going to make sense to people that this is just it's defragmenting our intelligence, and it's taking away from our dreams. It's taking away from our ability for everyone to dream, not just people who are like, I know how to create the dream, right? This is my dream life. I did it. Like, here, you can do it too. I just like, I don't want to. I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it without that, because that is creating fear. That is creating like a reason for my kids to think that they're going to go into debt, right? That's creating like all kinds of stuff. And so I'm not going to, is the bottom line. I'm doing my own thing. I'm not building that particular country, and I'll watch as it gets built. And like, I've been in this city for 40 years and I was 5 when I got here, and I've watched it grow, and there's like tons of cranes here now and bridges, like there's a crane that I actually mistook for like the Golden Gate Bridge. Like, I was like, whoa, flashback to when I was driving through San Francisco once because it was so busy. I don't think I could ever drive through there again, but it's crazy how much it's grown here. And I will like shop here, and go for dinner and coffee and hang out with my kids and like go to the parks and all of that. But I don't feel like I have the energy to give, especially after COVID and losing my mom and having a baby and not really remembering like who I was after that for some time, and having to do like a lot of therapy. I want to hang out here on the fringe. I'm on the fringe of the city. I'm kind of in a place that's just sort of like slower, and I don't know if anybody that I know here including my neighbors, knows really anything about me, and like that I am one of the like 6.5 million Canadians that. Oh my god, I totally thought I lost like everything. The last comment that I was able to read was, "You are so right," which was so sweet because I am, aren't I? No, I'm just kidding. But thank you. Do you guys ever like use tight headbands when you have a really bad headache and you can't like find Tylenol in your cupboard? Yeah, that's what I'm doing and it actually works. I highly recommend it. But I just wanted to tell you guys about a couple of the things that I'm doing for like because I love doing it and not anything to do with money, because as I was talking about with money, I can't be driven by that. Like I said, I'm driven by like I'm a pretty food driven cat, and money is just not something that's on my mind. Like it, you could put it on a plate and I probably would go for like a plate of food over a plate of money at this point in my life, because money is just like I don't even have time to use the money that I have, and I don't even have time to do the things I need to do with the money that I do have. So I'm at this point where it's like, how many people out there are like anything like that, you know? And I'm trying to foster in my kids as well, just like not prioritize other people's profits. And that's a kind of weird thing to say. I bet you if I was in a room with like any politician or like any businessman or like Kevin Leary, they would look at me and tell me that I'm basically stupid or nuts or whatever. And that's fine. But it's true, and I just I'm an adult and I like to adult and do adult things. It's just very hard when like you have to prioritize all these other things that don't make any sense. And anyway, so I'm doing some stuff like I'm going to be offering completely free like videos about on dreaming and like inner child work, like time management, what else? Like, you know, analyzing and reading things in your life that are happening and understanding them from like a more holistic point of view. Self-expression, I really want to work with children again, and like especially people that struggle with self-expression because of like things that might have happened to them, like trauma. And I think a lot of different kinds of traumas can be overlooked. Like I think a lot of people mistake children that are having struggles in school as children that maybe are neurodivergent or have learning disabilities, but maybe something in their lives happened, and maybe it wasn't like specifically in this life, but it could be like in someone else's life that they've witnessed it happen to, or themselves in another layer of their lives. And I've seen a lot of kids like just struggle to even express themselves like fully and be themselves fully. And I'm going to be putting some stuff out there with that. I know a lot of parents want to get their kids help, and a lot of teachers want to get children help, and teachers are struggling too. Like, I just found out our teachers here have to pay for everything in their classrooms. I never knew that. I have kids, like, I've been a mom since 1999, and I never knew that. Like, I almost cried finding that out because I have to pay for everything for my kids too, but I only have four. This like these people have 20, 30 kids in their classrooms. My youngest, her teacher moved here from across the country, and I wondered when I got there like why there wasn't, 100,000 primary colored decorative things on the walls, and I guess that's why. So if she had more time, like they're overworked. Like I work 4 hours a day and end up picking my kids up like right on time, just on time. And like we go do fun stuff, right? But teachers, they're there like overtime, and they don't, this is probably all around the world. If this is happening in Canada, I don't want to know what it's like for teachers in some other countries where there's less funding. But anyways, going off again on all these issues. Being proactive is like it's just really challenging when you don't have a lot of time, right? And time is of the essence. Time is more valuable than money sometimes. But yeah, it was nice to find out that they can like buy things at thrift stores. That was like super awesome, and I was like, oh my god, I have so much stuff in my house. Like I wonder if they would want any of these books. Like maybe I could help out. But yeah, so I basically just wanted to say on here, like, I think that creating a network for yourself, starting with yourself, is where it's at. And I'm trying to teach my kids that too. Like, one of my kids has friends, and like every time we go anywhere, even like McDonald's birthday party, like three of the kids at the birthday party are like, "Can I have Noah's? Can I have her number?" And I'm like, I don't know if I'm even gonna have time to like pull this number out of my purse and put it like on the fridge, but yes. And then one of my kids like has never had a play date, and every kid's different, every human is different, and I'm trying to teach my kids, like, let's accept this about ourselves, and let's accept this about each other and other kids. Like, we're not all going to be building the same life, we're not all going to be building the same world. And I still can't believe that this live came back, because I was like, I should have pressed like screen record, because then I'd have it if my phone died, and it did die, and I knew it was going to die, and it's only at 4%, but my kids were like stalking me, and then it ended up dying while I was sitting in the corner. But I'm going to be less afraid of the fact that my kids are in my life, and just start doing what I want to do with them in my life. But I think there's a lot of things that not just kids but adults can do too, making ourselves jewelry, finding new ways to relieve ourselves of stress and pain, like me wearing this kitty band around my head for a headache. It's working wonders right now. And yeah, like using free resources. I know that, it's hard sometimes when you're used to having everything that you need and not having to ever rely on somebody else or the system, but it's there for a reason. And yeah, so I've got my website. It's called agirlinherdreams.ca, where I share quite intimately, to be honest, about my dreams. And doing that is not because I want to like have some sort of like public dream followers or anything. I really feel like the more that we learn our own language and learn to express ourselves and, share in the world. Like, I tell my daughter, my oldest daughter, my dreams. You know, it's really hard to think with them, and I do need to go make coffee and start paying attention to them. But it's just one form of healing, and I don't know where it came from for me. I'm really curious to know, like, why I was born with this, and it feels almost like a condition. Like, I remember when pregnancy became made aware of to people that it was a condition and not just like a phenomena, but it's also like technically a medical condition and like technically growth in your body. And at first I was just like, that is so weird. But I think dreaming it's a state, just like happiness, just like love, just like trust, just like, illness in the mind. Like, it's a state in your brain. It's part of your nervous system, and like, I met somebody once. It's always once with these people, but I met somebody once. He was dating my best friend at the time, and he underwent some tests because he was having all these weird symptoms and depressions and whatnot, which I'm very familiar with. So, like, I could have done this for him in like 1 second, but I'm not breaking or anything. It's just he went through all these tests to find out that there was a part of his brain that was activated that is usually only active when you're dreaming. And that's amazing. Like, first of all, the doctors actually got to that point with somebody that's really amazing. But we can do this too. Like, we don't need, tests and screens and monitors and like visuals, in the tangible corporeal world all the time. And I think that's what I was saying before my battery died too, was just starting with ourselves and looking after ourselves can save us so much time and so much energy and help us to find answers. And it gets easier, right? Like, I think it's harder at first because it just is like I started out life with a gift that doesn't, you can't, it's not a lot of people use that kind of gift, right, in life to survive or succeed or whatever. And I hope all your dreams come true. I'm just having like a moment to just completely get distracted by these because my eyes are working and my glasses are here. Sometimes my eyes work like I'm a cleaner and I'm like getting worried because my eyes are not functioning while I'm cleaning, and my optometrist said that if I don't wear glasses now that I'll be like really, I guess I could clean with glasses on, but I feel like I would just, you know, drop them in a toilet or something. I just want to read these. Little waves. Indonesia sounds amazing. My kids are all of a sudden quiet. It's like such a sign. The world is at peace now forever. It's like my biggest dream come true. There's like a part of myself. This is another type of work that I want to share more in a little pocket somewhere because I know it's coming from channeling it from somewhere, but I feel like doing work on parts of ourselves is more uncommon here. It's probably more common in other places. Like obviously, we're just so like distant, I think, here from parts of ourselves. Like I used to have moments on the playground where I'd be like walking on a beam, like the beams around the playground, around the wood chips, to separate the wood chips from the pavement and keep them separate. And I would just be in and out of reality, like in and out of like sounds, there'd be like sounds coming from like the school, or there'd be sounds coming from the road. And I think I've been doing that a lot lately with like a specific part of myself that is like maybe just in a more quiet space or thinking on a different wavelength, and connecting to that part of myself more brings me so much peace. Like I don't worry as much, even just connecting for 5 minutes in the car while I'm waiting for the kids and, asking that part of myself, like, can you chill me out, please? Like, it's been very stressful, and like, I don't want to think about this bill, or I don't want to think about this call, or I don't want to think about this unexpected cost, but it's there. And like, ultimately, though, I think the ultimate self of all my selves is the little girl in me that wants world peace. Like the little girl that I see in pictures where I'm like coming down the slide. Like my parents took a lot of pictures of me from like 2 years old on. We lived up in the Northwest Territories. Before that, I don't have like very many pictures of myself at all. I think my mom really struggled to like survive and get away from what she was going through. But from 2 years old on, when my stepdad like took us under his wing, he had like a really nice 35 millimeter camera, and at the time it was like really nice, and he got us like a stereo system, like a NAS, I think it's NAS, I don't know what it's called, but it's from somewhere nice. I think it's like Japanese or German or something. And he really took pride in like providing these mediums, of expression and like enjoyment and entertainment. And so I have a lot of pictures of me where I feel like I look at myself and I feel like I'm literally already there, like where there is world peace. And I just want so much for like to just go there, and it's kind of deflating in a way because you probably can't take me seriously with this thing on, and I should probably end it with like a normal version of myself, but this is as normal as it gets, just so you guys know. But that it seems far away, right? And you don't want to let go of like your biggest dreams, but like at the same time I feel like you also have to face reality, right? And I can't lie, like when I see our prime minister, I feel very close to world peace, like in one way. Like I won't ever be somebody who, you know, joins the like let's laugh at this person. I almost did. Like I will say, like, I've gone there. I'm guilty of it, of just being like pessimistic and like, saying rude things, because it's infectious, right? Like, and there are things that I feel like are looked over. Like people don't have water here. Like 5,000, that's too many people in a country of 40 million people. Like everyone should have water in the world. People don't have like drinking water, you know? That irritates the crap out of me, and I have to somehow calm that part of me down and just not just believe, right? Because that's stupid. Like who's like we don't just believe that things are going to be better. We make them better, right? Okay, my kids are going crazy now. For real. I'm gonna go make coffee, but I really appreciate that the space has been here. It's almost been an hour, and I feel like that was like 45 years of stuff in 1 hour. So, thank you. I don't want to vent. It's not a rant. I'm like clearly, just extremely compassionate, and that's the side of Canada. I even have like a red house coat. Like I am very grateful to be Canadian, and I feel like my life is a representation of what Canada really is in my heart. It's inclusive, and, it's all encompassing, and it's, hopeful, and like I even have pictures from myself in the sand with Canadian flags all around me from when I was 2 on Canada Day, and I'm still that little girl that's like, sitting on the sand believing that Canada and the rest of the world is victorious in its humanity, like of the way that we were intended to be. And I'm not going to say that it's because of politicians. I don't think ever. I think there are some people that just need to be like dissolved, like in my life too. The thing is that that's intention and that's willpower and all of that. I think that like, part of me wants to just believe that most people are good, and then another part of me just knows that all that matters is myself and my kids, and that anyone who has a heart like mine and believes in that kind of goodness and truth and honesty in a very like non-denominational and like you know spiritually is an overused word, so I would say just like the universe, the universal way, right? Universal love, universal like care, universal income, universal freedom and safety and security. I feel that those people also should put themselves first. And if that's you, like never take that away from yourself, and never give that away, right? Out of codependency, out of guilt, out of like, the need to survive. Like I wish that's something I could go back and tell my inner teenager who was like having to grow up too fast. I wish I could say, "Hey, guess what? Just because you need to survive doesn't mean that you need to say yes to these people, or doesn't mean that you need to like, you know, go to these parties, or, be this person's girlfriend." Like I wish I could tell myself that now, back then. I wish that I could just hear that now and just hear that I'm more important and that I should come first, even as a teenager. So, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. You could be, near retirement. It's probably even more important. And sometimes I feel like I am. Like somebody asked me how old I was, and I said I feel like I need to say 90 because I'm a single mom and I feel like I'm twice my age, but I'm still a kid. I'm still a kid at heart. And yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be sharing, and that's the kind of stuff that I've been studying and researching, and I think it's really important, and I think our kids in the future will gravitate. I think children are gravitating towards, peace and, everybody surviving and everybody having enough and everybody having equal opportunity and not having any excuses available for why it's not happening. And I can't wait for that, even if it happens after my time. I feel like it's happening already in my mind and my vision and my dreams. So, yeah. And I might do a tea leaf reading later after this busy week. These are my readings from just before I turned 45. I'm 45 now. And I knew that this would be the time that is different. Like I just knew that this would be like a major right turn, like a right angle, you know, like I hit the cornerstone of my life and was like, I need to now start scaling this wall and like understanding life from this perspective, which is like very calm, a lot more calm than it was. I think there was a lot of like darkness and like, you know, it was a bit of a nightmare at times. And now I feel like I have a better grasp and a better view, and I'm just in a lot like higher state of consciousness from, again, putting myself first and my dreams first. So I think you can do that at any age. I don't think it is ever too late or that there's ever a right time. I think the time is always in the moment now. Yeah. And I really like how everyone has chimed in. I pay attention to what's going on in the world just because I love it so much. And it's really nice to see that there was some interaction. It's lovely. And like I like that kind of intimacy with human beings where we can just share openly across the world. And I really hope that we all continue to use these mediums of communication as much as possible. And I don't know who's up there taking care of these, you know, technological advancements and the access that we have to them, but I feel like they're good people to allow us to be able to do this on Wi-Fi, you know, is absolutely, I'm grateful for that. So, you know, and if the universe is watching, I love you so much. And yeah, I feel that one with you, even though I feel like worlds away. I miss you. And at the same time, I'm so happy that I'm here in you. Okay, anyways, I'm going to go be weird with my kids. I love you guys, and thank you so much. And I will be back when time permits. And when my cell phone is charging properly. Okay, ciao.